All right, welcome back to Crash Course number 8. This is Sammy Chimonehihi Alayubi, and we're going to go through light probe volumes. We're going to be able to show you how we're going to take something that a lot of people are not really sure how it works and be able to apply it here. But first, I want to take a look at the sunlight. Let's actually get rid of this Combine Soldier. So let's get rid of him, delete him. Remember, with the sunlight going through, there's actually not a lot of light coming. I want to actually open this up. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's switch back. I'm going to select face mode. I'm going to select these faces on both sides. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. Delete them. Select edges. Double click on one side. Double click on the other. And I'm going to press B to bridge them. And if I press F6, now if I take a look at this, it looks a lot better. Okay, now remember we have here a solid block light because we're assuming the player doesn't see the ceiling. So for right now, it's still creating that shadow. And if I look out here, yeah, now I've got some nice light coming through here. All right, this is pretty good. But one thing is, this isn't really truly representative of what you're going to see. So we're going to have to add some light probe volumes to be able to make sense of everything. So over here, I'm going to click on the entity light probe volume, and this is actually going to be a combined cube map. Okay, now watch. The second I place one down, you're going to notice that the shadows, as soon as I deselect this, are now going to be hardened. Now it's over here. I don't have any cube maps, so it's not actually accurately showing how the light mapping is going to be reflecting on the surfaces. And as a result, we have here instead a more accurate depiction, but it's actually still missing the indirect light. So I'm going to go ahead, press Shift O. Here's the actual light probe volume itself that I put down. I'm going to press T. I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reposition it. Now, the one thing is with all of this light probe volume and this giant block light right here, I'm going to go ahead and actually come up here to tool brushes. I'm going to disable the block light. Now, something actually funny happens here because this block light is a part of the same mesh as this. We actually need to separate it. The best way to do this is I'm going to go ahead, hold down Alt, double click. I'm going to press Alt to end and create a separate object. Okay, now if I unclick block light, okay, perfect. Since block light now will be correctly applied. I'm not sure if that's something that the engine's doing or if it's the same mesh, that's how it thinks about it. But now we can correctly show how this is going to work. And I don't have this giant block light in the way. Okay, you can select it on and off, really helpful. I'm going to just disable it for right now as we adjust our light probe volume. Okay, now here's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we adjust this so that it's about 72 units above the ground. Okay, why? Well, that's because the player height is also at 72 units. If I put a light player start here, you're going to notice that it's going to be about at the head level. And here's what this is doing. What this light probe volume is doing is it's taking into account all of the mapping that's around it, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to start to project light on dynamic props. It's going to allow for the reflection to properly be pushed out. If you look at puddles, if you look at anything with any special material surfaces that are applied to it, you're going to notice that it's all based on the cube map. And so right now we want to put this cube map 72 units above the ground because that's where the player's eyes are going to be, and so we want this to generate that based on what the player's vision is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. Okay, I'm going to adjust the cube map. This is something that usually is about one per room, but we're actually going to start outside. This outside, we're treating it like one big room. Remember, anytime that we're outdoors, it's actually one big room, so the same rules apply. Here I'm going to make this cube room. I'm going to send it out, and I'm going to try to make sure this cube map is as accurate as possible. If I press insert, I can actually change where this white circle is. Okay, press insert to go back. Now I can change the boundaries of it. Notice if you change the boundaries, it's different from actually changing the probe volume itself. Okay, I'm going to add another one over here. Pull it up. I'm going to extend it. Okay, if it overlaps a little bit, no big problem. Okay, it's fine. It'll actually project through, so don't worry too much. And this looks fine. If I really want to be a stickler, I could move it to the middle and make sure that it's accurate as possible. But I do want to go ahead and make sure that we finish this within due time. I'm going to put another light probe volume in this room. Okay, so we're going to put about one per room. I want to put it in about the middle of this room. Okay, I'm going to extend it out. and I'm just simply making sure that I cover it. And for right now, I'm going to just cover half of that hallway. Okay. If it's a really big hallway, I might go ahead and break it up. And then let's go and pull this up. And like I said, it doesn't matter if they're slightly overlapping, no big deal. You know, if they're touching, I'm not going to spend time making this perfect though. Over here, same thing, light probe volume. Here I'm going to actually place it, I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to pull it up maybe a little bit above 6 feet. I might pull this up almost to the center of the room, because even though there's stairs here, the player's going to be above it, and so I kind of want to find that happy medium. Maybe right there is actually going to be good. So here's going to be a good place for that cube map. Let's go ahead, let's extend this out. And let's make sure that we cover the ceiling. Now, once we apply materials to this, okay, we'll have a material texture tutorial later. That's going to help make much more sense of this. Okay, now the last one. Okay, I'm going to actually go with 2 light probes. I could do this a couple of different ways. I might make one, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead. I'll do 2. I'm going to put one on this side, and then I'm going to split this in half just for now. And you might go back later and based on the map, you might find that you need to adjust your light probes. Then you'll notice maybe some weird reflections. You'll notice maybe the way that the surfaces are being rendered, something's off about them. Yeah, that's usually something to do with your light probe. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that this fits perfectly. Okay. Now, second thing about light probes. I have 2 light probes here and I have 1 mesh. Okay. Got to cut this mesh in half. Select it, press Shift X. I have the object tool selected, or the object mode. So now I'm actually clicking and I'm going to be slicing this object in half. So I'm going to go ahead here, let's move this, press enter. I now have 2 separate meshes. Perfect. Remember, 1 for each cube map. Let's go over here. Yeah, that's about right. Over here, that's good. And then out here, oh, I've got 1 big one and I've got 2. Okay, so let's split them. Okay, I'm going to select this, press Control H. Excellent. I can go ahead now and I can divide this up, and I'm just going to press Shift X, and right about here is good. Press enter, and now I have 2 separate meshes. Ooh, actually, let's go ahead, let's grab this and let's just make it a part of this. So I'm actually just going to grab all this, press Alt N, make it its own mesh, and that's going to be actually that's going to be fine, because this is going to be its own separate mesh. Perfect. Press Shift O. I'm sorry, press U, and then Shift O is going to show those light probes, and right now I've got my light probe volumes all in the correct place. Okay, now if I go ahead and I press F6, you'll notice though that over here, let me go ahead and enable the block light so we can see that. Okay, now it's blocking light. Over here, it's pitch black. Okay, over here, I've got parts that are pitch black and parts that aren't pitch black. Okay, so what exactly is happening? Well, I need to be able to render and see what that light looks like. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and in our next tutorial, we're going to show you exactly how those renders are going to look like.